Hey, how's it going? This is Seth, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to start your own LLC. So before we get into this, I'll just quick say I'm not an attorney, but I am an active real estate investor, and I own several different LLCs for different types of companies. So I kind of know my way around this realm and how to do it and why it's important and that kind of thing. And the thing about creating a new LLC is that a lot of states do not make this process user-friendly or easy to do, especially for somebody who has never done this before. It feels kind of confusing and intimidating if you don't know your way around the registration documents and how to do it in your state. Even when you find the forms, they're just kind of confusing to understand what to do with them. But the good news is there are several different websites and services out there online that will make this process much easier and more user-friendly than your state will. And that's what I'm going to show you in this video. The website that we're going to be going through is called Northwest Registered Agent, and you don't have to register for a new LLC through this. You could do like a C corporation or something else. But if I were starting over today as a real estate investor, I would be doing an LLC. So I'm not telling you need to do that. That's just what I would be doing, and I'll show you the steps that I would go through. So I'm going to have an affiliate link to Northwest Registered Agent beneath this video. If you want to click on that and follow along, I'll show you how I would do this if I was starting over today as a real estate investor. It's just REtipster.com/LLC. And that'll bring you to the same page I'm about to show you. And also keep in mind, I'm going to be answering these questions on this page the way that I would be doing it, but that doesn't mean that that's the way that you should be doing it. So you need to kind of evaluate this for yourself and understand what kind of business you're trying to run and what you want to do. This is just an example if you want to see how to do this. So let's jump into the computer and I'll show you how it's done. Okay, so when you click on that link, it's going to bring you to a page that looks something like this, at least at the time of this recording. This is what it looks like. And the first step is to select the state where you want to file your LLC in. In my case, I live in Michigan, and that's where I'm going to be doing a lot of my business. So I'm going to select that. Go ahead and click Get Started. Also keep in mind the state where you register your LLC. I've heard different arguments and reasons for why you should file in one state versus another, like Wyoming or Nevada or Delaware or just the state where you're doing business. Again, that's really getting into legal advice territory, so I'm not going to advise you on where you should be doing that. But another service I know that can dive into a lot more specifics on that is called Anderson Business Advisors. They're a lot more expensive than what I'm going to show you here, but if you do want that kind of really specialized, individualized service where they're looking specifically at your situation, that's another outfit you could go with. But for most people, like for example, if you're starting a land flipping business, it's pretty straightforward. Okay, so the first step here is to decide on our LLC name. We've already decided that this one's going to be in Michigan, and the price that you'll see over here now says $79. So basically what's happening here is Michigan has its own $50 fee that it charges to register a new LLC, and then Northwest Registered Agent charges an additional $29 on top of that. If you were hiring an attorney to do this for you, you would be paying a lot more money than this. So this is going to save you a ton of money if you go this way. And also notice if I were to choose a different state, like, I don't know, Hawaii or something like that, the price is going to change a little bit because Hawaii has a different processing fee that they charge. So once we've got that all selected, we're going to click continue. And now we got to decide on what our LLC name is going to be. And this can be whatever you want it to be. It's up to you. I know a lot of people kind of like get stuck on this and spend tons of time trying to think of the most creative name they possibly can for their company. That's kind of a whole other thing. So that's up to you, but whatever you want that to be, you just put that right in here. And then for business purpose, for me, I would put maybe like real estate investor or something like that. So I could just put ABC company and then business purpose. Got that all set here. And also, by the way, if you ever have questions about any of this stuff, just click on these little bubbles and it will explain what you're supposed to do. So there you go. Go ahead and click continue. And then LLC address. So by default, the way that Northwest Registered Agent works is they are going to be your registered agent. And you don't necessarily have to do it this way. When I first started my first LLC, I acted as my own registered agent. So my own name and mailing address was on the public record with the state, and people could find me and send me mail there if they wanted to. And people do send you mail that way. So if you want to kind of have more privacy and also have some other professional entity in charge of renewing your registrations every single year, which does cost money every single year to do that, and somebody does need to be paying attention and actually take action to make that happen, a registered agent could also handle that for you as well. And there's other potential reasons why a registered agent can be useful. These days, I actually do have a third-party registered agent service like this in charge of all my LLCs, and they handle all this stuff for me. So that's what I would do, is I would definitely just keep this checked and use them as the registered agent. And if you don't want to sign up for this, you would just have to enter in your own information and mailing address. And if you do go that route, I would suggest probably not putting your home address on there, but having a business address. Like what I do, I rent a mailbox at my local pack mail retail store, or you could also use something like Traveling Mailbox. We've done a whole separate review on Traveling Mailbox. I'll include a link to that beneath this video as well if you want to check that out. I'm going to leave this checked for now, and then we will click continue. And how many members or owners are there going to be in this company? So in my case, it's only ever been one. I'm a single member LLC. So I just put my name in here, and the address to record with the state would be the registered agent's address. So go ahead and click continue here. And on this whole issue of how many members should there be in LLC, like if it's a husband and wife or a brother and sister or a son and father or something like that, should you both be members? What if there's 3 of you? Should you all be members? Again, that's kind of like legal advice territory that I can't really advise you in, but I can tell you, with me and my wife, back when I was first thinking about this, the more people you involve in the ownership of an entity, the more complex it's going to become in terms of, okay, now who has the control? Which one of us can sign on behalf of all of us? Now we have to create an operating agreement and specify the powers that everybody has, and that can all be handled for sure. I've done it before with other entities, but in my case, it made a lot more sense to just have me in charge of everything. So it's just me signing. There's less moving pieces. And then move on. And if you don't have an account yet, you could go ahead and sign up here. And then for contact, this is where you would put your information. And keep in mind, this does not mean that this information is going to go on the public records. They're still going to use your registered agent for that. This is just for the private records of Northwest Registered Agent, just so they have your information. So put that information in there and click continue. And then down here, there's a few optional things you can select. So one of the things that Northwest can assist you with is setting up your tax ID with the IRS. And this is something you're probably going to need eventually if you ever apply for a business loan or a number of other things. So it's not like your business doesn't exist if you don't have this yet, because you could default to just your social security number if it's a single member LLC acting as a sole proprietorship. But I think it's generally a good idea to get this thing sooner rather than later, and it costs a little bit of extra money to do that. Let's see. And in my case, I am a US citizen with a social security number, so I would check this, and that would cost me an extra $50 to do it through them. However, I can tell you, this isn't actually that difficult. It's just not the most user-friendly process, but I have a separate video that shows you how to do this for free if you want to check that out as well. And you can find that beneath this video too. So just be aware of that if you want to just skip this and show you how to do it for free. So I'm going to deselect that. And then S corporation election with the IRS. This is kind of a question for your CPA. I can say that for one of my business entities, I am doing this, and there are some tax advantages to doing it this way. But if you're just starting from scratch and you have nothing going on yet, it's probably not a huge deal at this stage, but it's something you might want to consider in the future. But again, that's a tax accounting question. I'm not going to get too specific on that. And then premium mail forwarding. So if your registered agent ever gets any mail that's intended for you, and they probably will at some point because their address is going to be of public record, and just by nature of the fact that it's a public record, at some point somebody's probably going to try to start soliciting them and trying to get a hold of you. So if they get any of that mail, they can forward, I think it's 5 to 10 pieces of mail to you for free. But if you want to get more mail than that, like if you want to actually set up a serious business mailing address that you can virtually receive mail from, you can select this thing. And these are the different states where you can set it up in, and you can either get your mail digitally scanned to you or they can physically forward it to you, except for packages. And in my case, I would not do this because there's a different mail service that I generally recommend called Traveling Mailbox. And again, we have a separate video explaining how that works. But just be aware, if you wanted to, you could do it right here through Northwest Registered Agent. But I'm not going to do it here. I would probably point you to Traveling Mailbox because that's like what they do, and they don't do anything else. And then they also have this phone service option, which is kind of like a Google Voice phone number, but there's like a mobile app that they've developed. And again, this is something that I'm not saying you like should or shouldn't do it, but personally, I use a different phone service called Open Phone for this, and I've got a couple of videos explaining how that works. I'll also have a link to Open Phone beneath this video. So you could certainly do this, but it's probably not what I would do for various reasons, because this is kind of like an add-on. It's not like the primary thing that Northwest Registered Agent does. Whereas with OpenPhone, it's like very specialized and has a lot of different capabilities that you're going to need in your business. So I would not select this, but that's just me. It's up to you. And then virtual office. So if you select this, this is kind of like combining premium mail forwarding and phone service into one. And even beyond that, what they'll do is they'll give you an actual lease with like evidence of utility bill payments and everything. Because in some states, in order to like, viably do business in that state, you need to not just have an address there, but prove that like there is a physical location with a lease in place. So if you're working in a state where that's a requirement, this can help you check those boxes. So it's just something to be aware of as well. Again, I wouldn't use any of those things. Just wanted to explain that's what those are if you want to use those. So once you've got all your selections finished, just click continue and then put your payment information in here and you'll be off to the races. So it's pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Again, if you want to start an LLC, Northwest Registered Agent is a pretty solid way to do that. It's definitely not the only option, and you technically don't even need to use this. It just makes it a whole lot easier to get the job done. So hope that was helpful. Thanks for watching. And if you already do have an LLC, but you want to set up a new registered agent service for that, or if you just want to learn more about what a registered agent even is and what they can do for you, I've got a separate video explaining that too, if you want to check it out. So I'll have a link to that along with a lot of other things I mentioned beneath this video, and hope you found this helpful. Talk to you again soon.